Hello and welcome back to Mummy Cooks Homemade, and this is recipe day. Been a while. So I've got 500 grams of diced beef, and into this I'm going to add a good old blob of Dijon mustard. And then I'm going to add whatever I want of garlic, about a teaspoon. Mixed herbs, about half a teaspoon. And then 2 heaped tablespoons of plain flour. And all I'm going to do is mix this up. You can, if you want, cook this off, fry it, brown it, whatever you want to do. I don't take that route because I don't feel like there's a need to be perfectly honest, with a steamed pudding. And all the mustard and the flour, when you go to put it into your pie, will just thicken up the stock and give you your gravy. Because you're going to get liquid too off the uncooked vegetables that go in. So the excess flour is just left in this bowl, discarded. And we'll just keep what we've got there. So I chopped up 1.5 onions because I wasn't quite sure whether I'd need a full one or not. And this one had already been opened, so I just used it up and I've cut it into good sized pieces because that's how I like my onions. If you prefer them, I did another whole onion, but Steve's zoomed that on. If you like them small diced, then just do them that way. I'm doing 400 grams of white mushrooms. Would have been better with chestnut, but I didn't have them. So, tough luck. That's what I used. It's a dying thing, is a steamed pudding, savoury or sweet, I think. And it's a shame really. So I did make 2 pies, and they're 1 pint dishes. So I cooked them both, and what I've done is allowed one to cool, and it'll go in the freezer. So literally next time, it's still in the same bowl. I'll just take the foil off it next time and put it in the microwave, and that is a steamed pudding ready. So these are baby potatoes. I'm just slicing them up. We'll just have these done in the air fryer to have with it. I've got 400 mils of beef stock there. The chances are you're not going to use all that. The full recipe will be below anyway. And I've done that beef stock, just allowing it to go cold. So now I'm just making the suet crust, which is essentially a dumpling. It's the same way you make dumplings, so self-raising flour, then some suet. I'm cooking beef, so I'm using beef suet. But to be honest, I use beef suet mainly anyway. But obviously, if you're vegetarian... What was that in the back of my arm? Oh, I don't know. It's not there now. Yeah. If you're vegetarian, then just use vegetable suet. And then you just add in water after your herbs and a bit of salt, and just bring it together. I used parsley in this crust because it's not an overwhelming taste. Remember, you can add more water, but you can't take it out. And adding more flour in, it just changes the texture, so just be careful. There's not a set amount of water. I can't give you a set amount of water, guys, because all flours, different batches, different brands, they all absorb different amounts of water. So just use your noggin go by feel. So now I'm putting my hands in so I can feel how much more water this is going to take. It's about halfway. So I know there's a bit more can go in here. And once this is done, I'm just going to form it into a ball and wrap it in cling film until I need it. Same with any other pastry. This is one pastry I don't mind doing, the suet one. I don't know why. I mean, it's no different than any other pastry, but I don't mind doing the suet one. And it's really easy to roll out as well. So you are going to need a pudding base, and that's either like the ones I've got. I think you can buy Pyrex ones as well. But you need something that can withhold the temperature of a steamer for a few hours. You can see it's picking up all the pieces now. That's ready to go. That's it, and it'll just go in the fridge. So there's all the mushrooms and onions. They're the 1 pint dishes. I think these are Mason Cash. I think. They used to be really cheap to buy these, but they're not so cheap anymore. I smashed one as well, so I could really do with replacing that one. I've got a half pint, and then I did have 4 1-pinters, but I'm down to 3 now. So I just lined the dish. That's just to ensure that the pastry comes out fine. I have done them unlined, and they've come out as well, but for the sake of a bit of parchment paper, you may as well not risk it, ain't you? So this little bowl will do the whole inside of the dish and 2 lids easily. So we're just going to make it round and roll it out. It's really easy to roll out this stuff. Easy to work with as well when you're shoving it in the bowl. It moulds into the dish well. I like to leave an overhang, a lip, so that I can attach the top to it. So ideally this pastry needs to be inside the greaseproof and not the other way around. So just double check when you're doing it. You don't want that split that I've made there to be open when you finish putting it into the dish. That's just there so that I can move one side of the dough like that and put the other one underneath. And it goes into the bottom easy. You can trim off the excess or you can just flatten it down, it's up to you. I've took mine off because there was too much of it. And I'm just going to push it, make sure it's pushed in. you think, you look at these little bowls and you think with that meat plus all that onion and stuff there, there's no way all that's going in these. You'd be very surprised what you can squish into one of these. And it's highly advised that it's only coming away because of the plastic, what do you call it, grease proof. And I would highly advise as well, I make a mistake in a minute and I've asked Steve to leave it on just so that I can show you that it's not the end of the world. Highly advised to bulge these at the top because the vegetables are not cooked. They're going to release liquid and shrink. So if you have a flat top to start with, then you're going to end up with half the inside of your pie missing, if that makes sense, because they shrink down. Then some more meat on the top. Trying to think while you're also recording can be a bit of a pain, to be honest. And sometimes it can make you miss a step. It's not as easy as people think. So I've kind of layered that. So I'm going to go back in again with the onion. And loads of mushrooms. Squash it in. And you're not going to hurt anything by pushing this into the dish. See? Loads went in there. Right. Can anybody guess what I've already missed? So I'm putting the lid on. It's right there on the screen what I've missed. And I do realise as soon as I've got the lid on. Stock. I get the lid on, I'm like, ah! But it's easy remedied. So don't worry when you make mistakes like that. It's not the end of the world. I have my moment in a minute where I think, oh. There we go. So the stock you can put in, as you can see, it's not the end of the world. This is a good beef stock. You can see it slightly bubbles a bit, and that's where it moves through all the meat and such down to the bottom. So you will end up with, that was my knuckle, sorry. You'll end up with a gap where you can add a little bit more. So just give it time to drain down to the bottom. And whatever stock's left you can use to make a gravy. So, because this crust is so good, I ain't worried. There's loads left over, and it's easily fixable. So all I did was added a sprayed piece of folded greaseproof on top for the lid, just to make sure it doesn't stick to the pastry, to the foil. Did the same thing with a piece of foil. Tied the string round the lip of the dish really tight. Now I'm just going to add water into the steamer, and I steam this on low for about 3 hours. So you can see I've got that stock left, so you can use that to make some gravy. So here I'm going to thin slice absolutely love these knives. Absolutely love them. You can see how thin I'm slicing these apples. I haven't used normal eating apples because we've got 2 bags of these and I'm not wasting them. So yeah, these are just the kids eating apples. And they're not eating them. That's how thin this should be, nice and thin. And I'm going to chop up 5. I've just given them a wash, took the core out. And what I'll do is put some raw cane sugar over them and leave them for about 5-10 minutes. Not quite sure on the size of that tin actually. So that tart tin, so I'll have to measure that and then I'll put it underneath the video for you. And I'm using ready rolled puff pastry, of course. I'm not making puff pastry. I ain't got the time or the patience for that. So I'm just putting a little sprinkle of salt. And I'd say that's about 2/3 a cup of raw cane sugar. Just going to make sure it's all mixed. Some cinnamon in here at this point would be nice. I'm adding blueberries, so I've left the cinnamon out. And because these are thin as well, just be careful. So, like I said, just leave them to the side. I've washed the tin. This is a loose bottom tin. The pastry wasn't quite long enough, which wasn't a problem. So I quite like the edge where it's not long enough, but it wasn't an issue. So pop it in, push it into the edges. Press on the edge of it and it'll just cut through the pastry. Just go to that edge, do what you did earlier, trim it off. There you go, nice and easy. Now, I didn't egg yolk this or seal this pastry in any way before I started putting in the apples, but you can should you wish to. So this is, I do change my pattern in a minute to make it easier. You'll see. It wasn't quite what I wanted, so I do change the pattern up. So you want them overlapping. You're trying to look for the full ones. Because they're so thin, it's easy to damage them. You will end up with some left over as well. So that was it when I put them all in. So it looks quite nice. And they've already got that sugar on them. And I'm just going to dot some blueberries everywhere. And these have had a wash as well. And I cooked this in the air fryer at 175 for 20 minutes. And that was enough. I didn't use all the blueberries. Just put some more of that sugar on top. So this was the pie. And that crust is not wet or soggy. I know you can't tell that by looking at it. But it's actually quite dry on the top. And it turned out absolutely no problem. Straight onto the plate. This is me filming, as you can tell. I ain't got the patience like Steve has. And there's the filling all cooked. I did get you a good shot of the filling. There you go. Vegetables, the potatoes, and pie. Lovely jubbly. I'll make sure all the ingredients and such and the cooking times are below. And this was the tart when it was cooked. Not too much leakage from the blueberries, which was great. And there it is with some caramel sauce on top. And I think Steve's had nearly half of it already. The same day I cooked it. So yeah, this is his type of thing. I won't touch it, mind you, but I'll eat the caramel, but not that. So yeah, a recipe video for a change. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share if you can, and I'll chat to you in the comment section. Bye!